Shabbat shalom, Jean. אחת שאלתי אותה, אדוני. אחת שאלתי אותה, בקש. אחת שאלתי מאיר אדוני. אחת שאלתי אותה, בקש. שבתי שבתי בבית אדוני. שבתי שבתי באדוני. אחת שאלתי אותה, אדוני. אחת שאלתי אותה, בקש. אחת שאלתי מאיר אדוני. אחת שאלתי אותה, בקש. One thing I ask you, Adonai, to be with you all of my life. One thing
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
I know we have a number of guests here tonight. My name is Rabbi Mark Katz. This is Cantor Meredith Greenberg, and we really want to welcome you. We've got two different special events that we are going to be marking today. Of course, the kind of kickoff to Lucy's bat mitzvah weekend as she lights our candles tonight. And the second, and leads us in Kiddush, and the second is that we have a couple celebrating their 60th wedding anniversary. And so you'll see Richard and Beth a bit later. Yeah, we'll have to turn that down. But a few announcements before we officially get started. The first is hopefully everyone's grabbed a prayer book on their way in. If you haven't, you can grab it. We have large print prayer books available on the left, hearing assisted devices in the office. If you need bathrooms, they're outside to the right, though all gender and handicap accessible bathrooms are through the office toward the back. If for some reason tonight you need emergency exit, of course there's the exit you came in, but notice there's an exit here, as well as if you were to walk through those doors and go through the back, you'll find another exit as well. Karen Greenwald is our usher tonight, and should you need anything, you can always ask her, and she'll make sure you have everything that you need. So, I want to set us up tonight just with something to think about. This summer, I've been really inspired by watching both the Olympics and the Paralympics, and it's got me back into running. And going back and really getting serious about long-distance running is something that's a little scary for me because I tend to overdo it and get injuries. I get knee injuries, hip flexor injuries, sometimes stress fractures. I jump too quickly into running. And so I've been doing a lot of reading about what exactly it is that makes these athletes successful. And as much as it's hard work, as much as it's nutrition, as much as for a runner it's strength training along with all of the distance training that they're doing, at the end of the day, the thing that allows runners to keep training hard is having rest days and taking them seriously. It's not trying to run 7 days a week. It's running really hard 6 or 5 days a week and then getting off your feet for one of those days. And ultimately, that is the way to be successful in life too. It's to find a moment in time for you to have that rest as well. And Judaism builds that rest into its tradition. Shabbat isn't a bug of Judaism, it's a feature. It's meant to remind us that if we're going to truly be successful 6 or 5 days during the week, then maybe it is that every once in a while, and especially on today, we should get off our feet. We should relax. We should take a load off. And that then energizes us to be able to do the kind of work that we and this world needs for the rest of our time. And so we're going to move now into our service. We're on page 24. Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem.
Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch,
Boachem לשלום,
Bochem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch
Baruch
Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch.
צאתכם לשלום,
Seinchem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom,
מלאכי עליון,
Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch.
שלום עליכם,
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch.
הקדוש ברוך.
So we're going to move now into lighting our candles and to blessing our wine. And I'm going to call Lucy up to be joined by her nuclear family as we prepare to usher in formally Shabbat. You're reading first.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Mom can light it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kichanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinhalanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikro kodesh zecher l'siyat Mitzrayim
Kivanu bacharta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinhaltanu.
Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
Amen. Chaim, tickles it. Well done.
We're going to turn now to page 14 as we join together in the words of Or Zarua.
Oh, Zarua, Latzad, Ulishre Lev, Simcha. Or Zarua, we try again. No. Zarua, Latzad, Ulishre Lev, Simcha. Now on Yada, Yada,
Sad. Move forward now, page 20, Lachadoti. Let's hear you. Ya nai nai, ya la 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 chadodi. Ya nai nai, ya la 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 likakala. Ya la 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 b'nei Shabbat, b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
We're able, we ask you to please rise to face our entrance. בואי ושלום, עטרת בלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמונה, עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה, יא יא יא
standing as we turn to page 28.
Together.
Yai nai nai, yai nai nai nai, yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai 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 nai. Yai nai 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 nai.
Together.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam le'olam va'ed.
We're seated together. We're going to turn our attention to the screen now for a creative rendition of our Ma'ariv Aravim prayer, which you can find on page 30. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to
Roll into
night.
dark, into light. El חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב ערבים.
Page 33. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah to me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery.
ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד.
Page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We move forward in our prayer book now, page 40, as we join together in that song of freedom, Mi Chamocha.
You got it. Ya ida 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 ya la la ida ya ida 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la ya la la ya ida la ya la 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 mi hamloch bailim Adonai hamloch bailim Adonai hamloch amen darka kodesh ונאמר כי ודדנת יעקב ויגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. Thank you.
So we're going to move now. We're on page 43. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up to do your will. Baruch ata Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. We're on the top of page 44.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. All together. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
We're going to rise together, page 46, and we'll move into our silent Amidah from there.
אדוני שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. So invite everyone to keep letting your prayers flow. No need to cut them short for anyone else's sake. If you're ready, we are invited to land together in these words of our tradition, Olam Chesed Yibaneh. The world is built on kindness, or at least that's how, if we want it to be a world of wholeness, we have to start to behave. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yararai, Yararai, Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yararai, Yararai. Yararai,
continue with our service on page 253 as we have the opportunity each time we gather together to offer a prayer for healing, the Mishaberach, for those in need of healing, body, mind, or soul. And I'll look around the room in a moment and ask you to give me some names, and then we'll share some names up on the screen as you can join me in singing when we get to the center. Mishaberach avotenu v'imotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah, hu yivarech et hacholim. May the one who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit. And let us say Amen. Mishaberach avotenu mekor habracha. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mekor habracha. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
As we do each week, we offer a special prayer for the state of Israel. Our God and God of all ancestors, we ask that you bless the state of Israel and all of Israel's inhabitants. Makor Chaim, source of life, bless and strengthen those who defend the land and ensure their safe and speedy return home. Protect them and guide them. Kadosh Baruch Hu, holy and blessed one, show Israel's leaders your paths so they may act with wisdom, courage, and dedication, and that they may be unwavering in their pursuit of peace. Strengthen their hearts, but keep their hearts from hardening. Adon Poked, God who remembers, there are more than 100 people currently being held in Gaza who are thought to be alive, including Oded Lifshutz, 83, Guy Gilboa Dalal, 22, Eviatar David, 23, Nama Levi, 19, Bipin Joshi, 23, Eden Alexander, 19, Nathan Pang Pintha, 35, Shiri Bibas, 32, Yarden Bibas, 34, and their sons Ariel, 4, and Kafir, 1. Matira Surim, freer of captives, return all those who are kidnapped safe and sound to their homes, without the spilling of more innocent blood, without any more souls being tarnished by horrific acts. Baal Harachamim, master of compassion, help us to hold the humanity and the heartache of the Jewish people, of all the residents of the state of Israel, while also holding the humanity and the dignity of the Palestinian people. As we are made in your image, remind us of your ways. Spread over us a shelter of peace and fulfill the vision of your prophets. They shall beat their swords into plowshares, their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall no longer lift up sword against nation, and we shall no longer know war. Amen. So Shabbat Shalom. I'm really excited about this one. Before I give a formal sermon, which I'll actually be on this topic as well, it's rare that I get a chance to bless a couple who has been married for 60 years. And so I want to call Richard and Beth Klein up to the bima now. We can go right here. So I was thinking about the meaning of 60 in our tradition. And I went actually, because 60 isn't as whole of a number, let's say, as 7 or 40. 60, I had to probe a little bit. And in our tradition, there's this kind of lifetime, I would say, curriculum, where it talks about, at 6 years old, you start to learn Bible, and at 10 years old, you start to learn Mishnah, which is Jewish law. At 13, you become bar mitzvah. At 15, you study hard law. At 18, you get married. At 20, you find a profession. Remember, this was 2,000 years ago. And then it goes through, and it talks about what you should expect at 30, and at 40, and at 50, the age of understanding or the age of compassion. And at 60, they apply the epithet zakin, which essentially means the wise elder. Now, I'm not talking about your age right now. 60 is the age of your relationship. And if you think about what a zakin is, you think about what that kind of, image is. It's someone who has lived enough life that they've got such a deep well of wisdom, right? That they just know things, and you can sit at their feet and you can learn. And it's rare to see a couple who's been married for as long as you have and is so in love as the two of you are. It's something that someone notices about the two of you the minute that they see you. I mean, I remember actually when I first got here being invited to your home, and I was on this kind of tour of meeting new congregants. And you had hosted the adult B'nai Mitzvah class that you were part of. And we came into your house. And it was clear just how much your house was a home built by the love of the two of you and the history that was the foundation of what that house was about. The places you had lived, the people you surrounded yourself with, the communities you had helped to build, and the good that you both had done in the world at one another's side. It was a truly extraordinary thing. You can even notice in the body language that the two of you have just what it means to truly care about one another. You are the kind of couple that one wants to sit at the feet of and ask, teach us how you do it. It's a really hard thing to do, a really hard thing to be. And I'm sure it took a lot of work, but looks seamless together. Yes. So my blessing to you is that for many more years, you have those shared experiences and that you continue to grow and grow in wisdom of what it is that makes a couple work. But my blessing for us is that we can learn at your feet and we can get a little taste from you of what that kind of longevity means and what it means to grow ever deeper and deeper in love and commitment as you have over those 60 years. And so I'm going to invite us all to rise. And we're going to give you two blessings. The first is the priestly benediction, the oldest blessing we have to give. And the second is the Shehechianu, which is a blessing for all joyous firsts, but actually it really just says, thanks for letting us reach this day. And as I said, there's not many people who get to say that in the way that you are saying that. And so we say that with all of our heart as well. And so I'll offer this blessing, and then we'll all say the Shehechianu with you. Actually, I'm going to call Cantor Greenberg up to say this with me.
I mean, I'm here.
Yeah.
We can all share in the blessing if you'd like to hold your hands up and let them feel your warmth as well. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and may God protect you.
Yair Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka.
May God cause God's face to shine upon you and give you grace.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
May God smile upon you, granting you a life of wholeness and peace.
May it be God's will, and let us all say Amen. We join together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'ehiyanu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh.
Siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov.
Siman tov, siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov. Yehelanu, 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 ulechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, ulechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, ulechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, Mazal tov. Amazing. Mazal tov. 60 more.
We can be seated. So Shabbat Shalom. So I want to actually stay on this topic for a little while, in part because even though you didn't pick this for this particular reason, this week's Torah portion ultimately speaks about marriage in many different iterations. It talks about Levirate marriage, right? What happens if you love someone and you're married to them and you die and, you are without children, the kind of ancient ritual of your brother-in-law coming and marrying and having a child in your name. It speaks about marriage on the battlefield. It speaks about a newlywed not needing to go to war because he or she should enjoy that first year of marriage. I mean, I would say of all the portions in the whole Torah, it's interesting that the two of you chose this week's Torah portion when you just were picking from the, calendar, because this week's Torah portion is the Torah portion of marriage. But what's really interesting is that nowhere in the Torah, by the way, does it actually tell you how to get married. Right? The Torah talks about any number of topics. There's 613 commandments in the Torah, and it covers everything from family law to how to treat your neighbor to tort law to religious law. It doesn't tell you the mechanism of getting married. But this week's Torah portion does tell you, in Deuteronomy chapter 24, the mechanism for getting divorced. Which is interesting in the sense that actually the ancient rabbis have to derive the laws of marriage from the laws of divorce. They say, for example, just as you get divorced with a document, you get married with a document, and that's where the ketubah comes from. And just as they use the word take when a person takes a spouse and then finds that they want to divorce them. And the word take often is used monetarily. So because that word is used, we must exchange something of value, which is where the ring comes from, right? But what's interesting about the discourse of marriage in the tradition is that ultimately marriage and divorce are wound together. The difference between Judaism and a religion, let's say like Catholicism, is that whereas Catholicism frowns on divorce, Judaism ultimately understands that it's just a natural part of a relationship. That being married is hard. Being married is really hard. And that ultimately there are going to be marriages that work and there are going to be marriages that don't. And so Judaism provides that mechanism. It understands that every marriage that doesn't work out itself, there's a degree of tragedy to that. There's an ancient teaching that when the temple stood, that when a couple would get divorced, even the altar in the temple in Jerusalem would shed tears. But it understands that ultimately, marriages are a precarious thing, and that some work for some reasons and some don't work for other reasons. And it's not necessarily a referendum on the person when it does or it doesn't. I mean, think about the challenges that our ancient ancestors faced in their marriage, right? The very first Jewish couple was Abraham and Sarah. And what you may not realize is that when you read Midrashim, when you read rabbinic commentary on their marriage, Abraham and Sarah almost get divorced. The two of them cannot have a child, and their infertility actually almost breaks them, such that the only saving grace for them, the only thing that actually keeps them wound together, is this radical step of Sarah giving her handmaiden Hagar to Abraham to have a child with as a stopgap measure, hoping that maybe they can stay married if that child is born. And if you know the history, you know that child is Ishmael, who ultimately is the forebearer of the Arab peoples. But they're not the only marriage that has their challenges. And although they do make it many, many years, and Abraham does bury Sarah with love, if you look at his son Isaac and his marriage to Rebekah, they have tremendous pain as they're trying to have a child as well, and it's not working. And then they struggle with the fact that each of them have these different relationships with their two children, Esau and Jacob, which gets in their way and ultimately forms a wedge between them. They did not have a perfect relationship either. And then you have this deep, abiding love that their child, Jacob, has with his wife, Rachel. But even they have trouble having a child. And Rachel ultimately dies in childbirth very young when she's having her second child. And the wife who has stay power, who sticks around, who is Leah, is pained by the fact that they never really hit it. It never really works. The two of them, yes, produce offspring. The two of them live for a long time. The two of them ultimately are buried together. But Jacob and Leah never find that spark that each of us want. And you could go through from couple to couple to couple in the Bible and see that there is no archetype of the perfect marriage. Marriages are really hard, not because people aren't compatible, not because they don't care, not because they don't love one another, but because life throws the kind of curveballs that the Bible does not hide from. Things like infertility, things like loss, things like having completely different visions of parenting. And I'll talk actually more about this a little bit at the high holidays. But life often changes us so that, and this is a piece of advice that I give to couples all the time when they're sitting in my office right before they get married. You are not married to the same person throughout the course of a long marriage. You are married to different people in the guise of the same person in your marriage. And the thing that allows marriages often to succeed is whether or not you can weather the inevitable changes that happen as person after person after person comes into your life with the same name and maybe a few more wrinkles. And that's a very difficult thing to do, which is why our tradition understands that it is not a failure when a couple chooses not to make it work. It is a natural part of life. The Jewish tradition has ultimately 6 or so life cycles. There's the life cycles of birth, there's B'nai Mitzvah, there's conversion, there's marriage, there's death. But one of the key 6 life cycles is divorce. It's part of the tradition, which means that when you are the lucky one, when you can make it 60 years, but it also means that it doesn't mean that you're necessarily the unlucky one if you don't. But when you do, as the two of you have, It is an extraordinary thing. And so the goal is to find compassion on yourself if you find yourself in a relationship. Understanding that there are lots of bumps along the side of the road. It's a rocky path sometimes because life is not always fair and life changes and modifies you. If you can grow with that, that is a blessing. And if you grow apart from that, there's blessing found in that too. Shabbat shalom. We're going to turn now to page 282 as we rise for Elena.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'teit gedula leotzer breshit, shelo asanu kigoye haratzot, velo samanu kamishpachot adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'goraleinu kechol hamonam. V'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz. Bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad.
Please be seated. Our thoughts now turn to those who we have loved and who we have lost. As I call the name of your loved one, I'll invite you to rise, honoring their memory. This Shabbat, we recall the following individuals: Albert Barber, Irene Bass, Maxwell Belfort, Sophie Berman, Jack Borgenecht, Julius Bronstein, Peter Clayman, Pasquale D'Agostino, Edwin Earl Einbender, Hannah Eisenberg Selter, Minnie Glantz, Sam Gluck, Judith Gold, Florence Goldstein, Elias Goodstein, Archie Handler, Saul Herman, Nathan Holland, Richard Horowitz, Felix Kalmeyer, Sarah Katowitz, Abe Levinson, Max Leaf, Joel Magnus, Geraldine Michelle, Albert Mishkin, Don Mulford, Isidore Lewis Knockmeow, Harry Nallenbuff, Lynn Nierenberg, Robert Proper, Minnie Sanger, Henry Schnitzer, Louis Schulman, Richard Schaefer, Joseph Slifkin, Betty Spitz, Sybil Stewart, Robert Stewart, Irma Strauss, Edward Teitelbaum, Jeanette Ruth Tobias, Philip Weiss, Juliet Yehuda Soffer, Mark Eustine, Jamie Zeisel, Lawrence Zimmerman, and Asaf Ziv. And those who are in their Shiva and Shloshim periods of mourning: Susan Kreitzer, mother of Sharon Kreitzer, Charles Feldberg, father of Steve Feldberg, Paul Poster, father of Mike Poster, and Scott Robick, father of Abigail, Serena, and Carter Robick, ex-husband of Andy Robick. In addition, I'll invite you to rise and share the name of someone that you're thinking of if you are saying Kaddish for them for their 1 year of Kaddish, or they have a yard site that is not on this list. We turn to page 294. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah. B'yama divrach yirtzeh v'yamlech malchuteh. V'chayachon v'yamachon v'chayet l'chol Beit Yisrael. Ba'gala v'izman karib b'imru amen. Yehi shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olmei almaya. Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'rechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiram b'yalma v'imru amen. Yehi shalom al Rabba min Shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Uyaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen.
You may be seated.
So before we move into our closing song, just a few announcements. So tomorrow morning, services are at 10 a.m. Before that, we have both our Torah study at 8:30 as well as chanting circle at 9. And at 10 a.m., we welcome Lucy to the Bima as Bat Mitzvah. It's a big weekend for us as we start religious school. Just so you know, we have somewhere in the vein of between 400 and 410 students. I don't know the exact number at this minute in our religious school, which is a pretty extraordinary thing. I don't think we've ever been exactly this high before. And so it's really exciting, and you should just know that that's going on. We also, by the way, have a wonderful preschool, and we do need subs. So if you or a friend, ever want to sub in our preschool, we could always use a deeper bench. And we also are looking for assistant teachers in the 2s and in the 3s. And so if you can help us with that. We've had a bit of a staffing challenge finding those last 1 or 2 teachers to round out our team, even though we've got a wonderful team for our 95 kids in our preschool. And also, by the way, the preschool has a challah program. If you want to pick up a challah each week from the synagogue and not have to go to the supermarket, you can, of course, do that here with our congregation.
They're very good.
They're really good.
They're very tasty.
The High Holidays is almost upon us. So we actually prepare for the High Holy Days on the 28th with our Slichot service. We're actually going to be screening a wonderful movie. Do you want to say anything about the movie, Cantor?
Did we decide to do the movie
Yeah.
that I suggested?
Yeah.
Awesome. We're seeing a movie called The Visit, and some of you might know it. It is an older film starring, I had this all really down for a while, Ingrid Bergman. And it is originally a German play and a really, really interesting way to think about Slichot.
Yes.
If you haven't seen it, and even if you have, come, we'll talk about it, we'll pray together, we'll get ready.
Yes, and then the High Holidays begin just basically the next week. If you haven't yet registered for the tickets, we need to know you're coming so we know we have enough chairs. And so make sure that you let us know you're coming by registering for the holidays. And in between the 2 holidays is the anniversary of October 7th. And so there's a few ways to commemorate that. On the 6th, what we're going to be doing is each of the different congregations are going to be gathering to prepare for October 7th using their own different modality. Some are showing film, some are having meditation. We are actually having dialogue circles and giving people a chance to just get in circles and talk about how they're feeling and how this year has been for them. And that's on the 6th. And then on the 7th, we decided as a kind of community, no one's going to do anything on the 7th itself because we don't want to get in the way of the Federation's large gathering that's happening on the 7th. And so I want to encourage everybody to sign up and go to the Federation's gathering. We'll be there with all of the other congregations in all of the Metro West area, which is a number of different counties in this area. I can't tell you where it's going to be because they haven't told us yet. It's a secret just for security reasons, but I guess they'll announce the location. They don't. They will tell us, they tell us a day or 2 before. So
Don't worry, you'll find out.
we'll find out. Yes. I have a feeling it's going to be somewhere in the Short Hills, Livingston area.
Likely.
Yes, someplace in New Jersey.
Yeah, we'll definitely be in New Jersey.
Yes. So
And we're right in the middle now of the month of Elul, the month in which we are already in the mode of deep reflection, and that we chant regularly the text from Psalm 27, which begins with, these words that we began our tefillah tonight with. Achat sha'alti me'et Adonai, uta mevakesh. There's just one thing that I want, that I need, and if I have it, then I will be able to do the work of moving forward and being a whole person, and that is to be in God's house. No address. We don't know for sure where that is because we have to find it each for ourselves. Achat sha'alti me'et Adonai. Achat sha'alti me'et Adonai. Try that with us. Achat sha'alti ota mevakesh. Ota mevakesh. Ota vakesh. Now we sing one thing. One thing, one thing. I ask you, Adonai, to be with you all my life. Achat sha'alti. Achat sha'alti me'et Adonai. Achat sha'alti ota vakesh.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Come have some cookies
Yes,
and meet someone new that you've never met before.
indeed. And
Shabbat shalom.
wish